short little message that was on my heart to share with you today. But everything is within you. Everything is within you. Everything is within you. You can create it in your own imagination. And so Neville Goddard speaks on this quite often. To be honest with you, he was one of the first people that I heard really diving deep into this. Reverend Ike is another one. He goes into this as well and covers a lot of this. And so what I'm doing really is just commentating and sharing my own thoughts on this, because I really feel like if you know that everything is inside of you, then why do you worry? Why do you worry? And I'm not speaking to just you. I speak this to myself. It's like I know that everything lives inside of me. I know that God is right here inside of me. I know that I have everything that I need, everything that I desire, everything that I want, and if I don't know that I have it, I can create it using my imagination. And so I'm speaking on that because for me, as I begin to really start to dive deep into myself and really take on this spiritual journey that I've been on, and really begin to understand not only God, universe, the source, whatever you call him, her, or them, and myself, and our connection, and really cultivating and creating a deeper connection with my creator, with the source, and learning all of the intricacies of my body. And that started showing me that as I began to really get into meditation, and as I began to start creating, visualizing, using my imagination, and creating scenarios and scenes that I desire, and places that I want to be, travel, all of these things, even down to food. Certain foods I want, I create them, and you know what's so funny? Sometimes they just show up. They just show up and I'm looking for them. I'm like, oh my God, I've been wanting to have, this fish, and all of a sudden there it is, or somebody invites me out, and synchronicities and things like that will begin to happen to you too, if you realize that everything that you want, everything that you desire, everything you need is inside of you. And so when you use that beautiful imagination to create, imagine that whatever it is that you are creating, that you desire, some of us are desiring physical things, some of us are desiring spiritual things, some of us are looking for mental things, emotional support, all of that, but all of that is available and it's all within you. Because when you start getting the message and you start really understanding that you are the thing that's in common with the creation. So because you are the one that's going to do it, you are going to have these amazing imaginary scenarios that you are creating, because you know what? They don't know whether or not it's real or imagined. They don't know if this is a real situation, especially when you gravitate toward it and you pull it towards yourself and you make it feel good to you. Because Neville Goddard always talks about the feeling is the secret. And that is like the most amazing thing to me. And when I started realizing that the feeling definitely indeed is the secret, it changed my life. Because then I started looking for and going after the feeling. And so when I would use my imagination, because it was difficult for me at first to start, when I started that, it was difficult. I'm not going to lie. It was hard. I was like, oh my God, and it seemed like I couldn't even imagine. And I know why that is, because of the trauma of what happened to me in the past. Because I actually had been on this trend for when I was a teenager. I had started like doing yoga, and I started meditating, and I started sensing and feeling energy. I've always been a natural medium, so I've always been able to sense transition spirits that crossed over and all that kind of stuff. I've always had that. Although I did ask God to take it away when I was a little girl, because it was too much for me. But then it came back, as sometimes it does. And now I've embraced it and I'm welcoming it. But when I got this revelation that, it's inside of me, I'm the one that's creating it. I'm the one that can create it, that will create it for all times, but it's inside of me. It's not outside. It's not, because here's what I found out. A lot of times we're in these spaces of transition and we're trying to create something and move something and whatever. And what happens a lot of times is we start, doing things that, of course, are sabotaging. I'm going to say that. Sometimes we do things that are sabotaging, but we start really doing that stuff. And instead of looking at it for what it is and seeing that, thank you so much. And thank y'all for joining. Hello, Maria and Darius Z76. But when you start really diving in and you start really seeing, who you are and what you want and all this stuff, and then you start understanding, start looking at your life and you start saying, okay, well, I went here and I did this and that didn't work. So maybe I need to take a turn. Maybe I need to do something different. Maybe I need to stay doing this. Maybe I need to stick it out. Maybe I need to be consistent. All kinds of different things. But then you realize that as you are really connecting with your God self and really learning how to visualize and create your future, your now and your future, because here's the thing, your now was already created by your imagination before this. And so here you are in this timeline where it's happening, and so for me, the imagination part was really difficult. It was really hard. I don't even know now to this day. I think it was because I had done it so much in the past. I started on this journey like when I was in high school, and I'm over 50 now. But I started on this journey when I was in high school, and and so but I didn't continue. You know what I mean? Because people tell you, that's stupid and blah blah blah, and sometimes we listen. But now, I'm at a place where I'm not listening. I don't care what anybody says. I know that this is real and I know that it's true for me. Whatever you do is up to you. And that's really, how I feel about that. But I just started, really started small, using my imagination for small things like, imagining that, whenever I went somewhere, I found a good parking space. I just started doing that, and just imagining that everything in my life was beautiful, because there was a time when it wasn't. And so I started like that, just really small little things, just seeing how this would work, creating my reality. I talked before about using the law of assumption. I have some videos on here about that. And that is one of my favorite laws. And so I always tell the story about how I had my 11-year-old car. Yeah, 11-year-old car. And it died. The engine died. And so the people called us. We had it towed to the shop. The people called us and said the engine was gone, blah, blah, blah. But they will call us back and let us know what they could do. So in the meantime, I said this to myself out loud. I said, they're going to call us back and they're going to say, they're going to fix this car at no cost to us. And y'all know what? That is exactly what happened. They called us back and they said, we're going to fix this car at no cost to you. So my 11-year-old car, well, 12-year-old now, has a brand new engine. So it's almost like we have two new cars, but we only had to pay for one. So it's just, things like that. When you start to really use it and you start to really believe, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time when you're doing it, because you have to think about, you've spent however many years living in this negative state. And so now you want to shift it over and live in a positive state, but you don't want no lag time and no downtime. Sometimes you're going to get a little bit of that. Sometimes there is a little lag time, a little downtime between, what it is that you desire, between when you imagine it and when it makes it to you. And then the other thing is too, you think about it, you've lived in that phase for so long. You know what I mean? It's like it's a no-brainer for you to be in that space where you just don't think anything is going to work out for you. Especially if you've gone through, hey, Jen, thank you for joining. Especially if you've gone through a whole bunch of stuff in your life where, you were trying to be positive and seemed like everything was always negative. The conditions were not right. And it's all kinds of things that go through your mind. But as you begin to really dive in and as you begin to really use your imagination, and think about the things that you want to create in your life. And as you begin to really take that time, spend it with your God self, creating. I call it going in the healing lab. That's what I call it, going in the healing lab. So I say I'm going in the healing lab, because I'm spending this time to heal and create and shift and use my imagination to make things happen. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. I will be back on again for another live tomorrow. I will see you then. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for the time that you did. Those of you that catch the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. And before you go, make sure that you put a like on this so that YouTube can know that it's likable. And make sure that you subscribe if you're new here, you're scrolling or whatever. Subscribe, hit that bell so that you get notified when I come on live, when I do pop-up lives like I just did today. Because you never know. That might be the video that you need to see for that day. It might be something that you've been asking a question about. So make sure you do that and make sure you share. And then if you are on TikTok, follow me at Intuitive Tammy, where I do live healings, readings, messages from spirit, messages from heaven, and I do prayers as well. You are so welcome, Jen. Thank you so much for joining me. But I'll be live there on tomorrow because today I probably won't do live because it's a beautiful outside and it's a honey day. I'm standing out here now just waiting on my husband to get finished with his massage, and then we're off to some adventures. But y'all have a great day, a great evening, night, whatever it is for you. Bye now.